If you do not know what Japan is right here. But I bet most of the people know what Japan is. Japan is an island chain by South Korea and China. Actually, both. It's by both. And also it's by Kim Jong-un's empire that never has expanded because Kim Jong-un will be basically destroyed every time he tries to. That's probably why he made his own nukes. But Japan is a country in East Asia. But today we'll talk about one of the biggest cultural influences in the world. Behind America, Japan is the second biggest cultural influence in the world. Yes, in terms of food, Japan is definitely not the most culturally influential country in America. That's obviously Italy. But in terms of entertainment and art styles and characters, Japan has basically taken over the United States and the Western world. And I think that this effect is permanent. Let me explain why. So Japan used to be our absolute worst enemy. They bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941. But now Japan is one of our biggest friends, besides Canada, Israel, and the UK. Japan is one of our biggest allies, and now one of the biggest influencers in the world on America. The only other country that I can think of that have more influence on America is Mexico and Italy. But we don't really see Mexican TV shows becoming really popular, Mexican books becoming really popular. Japan, you have Japanese food, mostly sushi, and also other forms of Japanese food becoming more and more popular, and manga and anime. Yep, this video is going to be about manga and anime, and also Nintendo as well, and Japanese games. So manga and anime, before this current decade, was considered a niche market. It was considered a nerd hobby. It was considered a hobby to make fun of. He likes anime? Gross. Those type of people. And basically anime fans have basically been associated with with your stereotypical nerd. Same thing with comic book fans. But unlike comic books, which still do not sell, manga and anime are now some of the most popular things in the world. One Piece is the second most popular comic book graphic novel series of all time, behind Superman. Yep, only Superman is more popular than One Piece. Okay. Anime is so popular that it is now ingrained in our culture. Okay. You would think that some of the most popular characters would be our characters, American characters, obviously, it's America. But some of the most popular characters now are Japanese characters. Look at best fictional characters. Yes, you'll see American characters. So Holmes, actually that's a British character. But yeah, Batman, Darth Vader, Superman, all three American characters as well. A lot of the more iconic characters that Google will show you are American characters. But this is basically what Google thinks. Okay? As well. Look at what people vote as the best characters of all time. Okay. You have Batman, Joker, characters that everybody knows. But then you have Mario. Okay. Mario, number 6. And Superman is at number 10. But Mario is the only Japanese character to be in the list. Yes, I know Mario is supposed to be Italian, but Mario is made by a Japanese company. Okay, Nintendo is a Japanese company. But then you have further down the list, you have Link, another Japanese character. Godzilla, another Japanese character. Vegeta, Japanese character. Sonic, Japanese character as well. And some of the most influential video game characters, if you look at the most popular video game characters, okay, they're not Western characters. Okay, according to Google, 3 of the most popular video game characters of all time are Japanese characters. Despite Western games selling pretty well, the Japanese characters are much more popular than Western characters. And really, gaming is the first medium to really become like this. Okay, video game characters, you have Mario, you have Sonic, Kirby, Luigi, Yoshi. Really, the top 5 video game characters of all time are Japanese-made characters. Japanese made characters, and unironically, almost all of them are made by one company, Nintendo. Okay, and we'll talk about Nintendo's influence over the gaming industry, and why Nintendo is probably the most important gaming company of all time. But the only American gaming character to be on this list is Master Chief from Halo. The rest of the characters are Japanese-made characters. Solid Snake is a Japanese-made character, since, of course, Konami is based out of Japan. Hideo Kojima is a Japanese man. Okay, these are all Japanese characters. Okay, Mario. All of these characters are the most popular characters of all time, according to the top 10s. Best video game characters. Okay, as well. You can go to the 11 through 14, through 20. Okay, you see some more American game characters like Kratos. Kratos is owned by a Japanese company, but Kratos was made basically for American Iron. Basically an American character. Okay, Meta Knight, Miles, Tails, Power, and Pac-Man Pac-Man. I think is Pac-Man oh yeah, Pac-Man is a Japanese character. Pac-Man is made by Namco. It's Japanese, and Steve. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course Master Chief being 5, which means 1 out of 4 of the most popular video game characters of all time are Japanese characters, are Japanese-made characters, and Japan's influence over America as well. Okay, this is Kratos and American characters will also counting characters like Kratos as a more Western influenced character. Mario is too, but Mario is made by Nintendo, and Nintendo they do their own things. Okay, as well. Okay, as well. Ranking the best video game characters. Oh yeah, we're gonna have Link and Dante, 2 Japanese characters in the top 5, and Sonic and Zero, more Japanese characters. And Japan is still some of the most has some of the most influential games. Pokemon Scarlet Violet and Elden Ring were still some of the most popular games of last year. Okay, and Western games have become more popular. Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox are some of the most popular games in the world. But the most influential games in the world are still Japanese characters. People will know Sonic the Hedgehog 50 years from now. People will know who Mario and Link are 50 years from now. Okay, those are characters that will basically stand the test of time. Sonic will always be popular. Mario will always be popular, and Link will always be popular. Same thing with the core cast of Mario characters. Okay, people growing up in the 2100s will still be growing up with Mario, Sonic, Link, as well. Unless Nintendo dies out and some other company basically takes over, Mario is still going to it's still going to be one of the most well-known characters in fictional. Okay, because back in the older times, we had the best fictional characters were like fairy tale characters and stuff, but Mario will be at the same level of those characters. Mario will be remembered as one of the most iconic characters of all time. But now let's talk about the most recent thing, anime and manga. So you look at Google Trends, okay, and we can look at anime versus cartoons in America, okay. And we all went over this, anime, pretty popular. Most popular in the South, ironically. In the United States, 2004 to present. Anime is not as popular as it was today. Of course, it got a boost because of the pandemic. Obviously, anime has not reached the peak. Compared to cartoons, okay. Yeah, and this is anime versus cartoon. Cartoons have had the edge over anime all the way up until recently. Anime now has the edge over cartoons, even in America now. And I think it's because of the decline of quality in cartoons. Okay. And you can put the search term, cartoons, for the longest time, were more popular than anime. Because, of course, cartoons are more popular than anime. It's supposed to be America, but more recently, this is anime versus cartoons. Okay, cartoons have been seeing a steady decline because of the quality of cartoons. The quality of cartoons have declined, but the quality of anime has not. And anime has ballooned in popularity during the pandemic. Of course, it's declined since the pandemic, but it's still far more popular than cartoons. Of course, cartoons are still more popular in several states, but it's pretty close in many states. Anime is at the edge of defeating cartoons in America, and this is just happening. This is just happening. America is turning into weeaboo country. Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next decade and the decades following, we see a new wave of cartoons that are basically inspired by anime. That are basically inspired by anime and Japanese art styles, simply because anime now is much more popular than cartoons. And you can go to the worldwide as well. This is even more drastic if you look at worldwide. Cartoons have only passed in 2019. Ever since 2020, cartoons have basically become irrelevant compared to anime. Anime destroys cartoons, especially in Latin America and Eastern and Europe, and of course Asia. Cartoons are not popular in Asia as well. Okay, and yes, people say, but anime is a cartoon. But what I'm really comparing is Eastern animation versus Western animation. Eastern animation is Japanese anime and cartoons, American cartoons. You can see which one is clearly more popular. Okay, we can look up manga, and comic. Okay, as well. Here, comic books are way less popular outside of America than manga, especially the more recent years. I think it's around 2020 when anime's popularity was normalized. Around 2015, anime and manga were starting to become normalized because of the internet, and it really ballooned during the pandemic. Manga and anime. Okay, liking anime is now considered normal in America, and we're always starting to see comic books that are really inspired by mangas now. Okay, we're always starting to see this. Okay, and basically now, for the past couple of years, manga is more popular than comics, and comic books have never become more popular than manga ever since then. And this is in America. Okay, well, comic books are more searched by Google. This is basically the death throw for comics and Western ideas. The fact that Eastern comics and Eastern anime, Eastern video games are becoming more and more popular. There's a reason why anime-inspired video games are becoming more and more popular as ever. Anime-inspired games were a niche market, but are now becoming more and more popular, especially among the mobile gaming industry. Even though it is not a Japanese game, Genshin is still one of the most popular games, and it's still advertised to this day. And Genshin is inspired by Japan. Okay, Genshin is inspired by Japanese anime, so it is inspired by Japanese anime. But why is manga outshining comic books? Okay, there's a lot of reasons why. People could blame wokeness, the way comic books are made, but I think it's because comic books are just not good anymore. Is there really a comic book that is really good anymore? Nope, there isn't. For example, compare Chainsaw Man and Joker. Recently, there was a whole comic book series about Joker being pregnant. Yeah, that was a real comic book series. Why would anyone want to read that? But then you have Chainsaw Man. Oh yeah, I think I'd rather read the Chainsaw Man than read the comic book about Joker being pregnant. It is becoming so bad that manga is basically overtaking American comic books. That American comic books are dying compared to manga. Okay, and as I explained in another video, manga is one of the most, just like comic books, is extremely collectible. You want to get one issue of a manga, and you like it, you want to get 2, want to get 3, want to get 4, and want to get 5. And I think as manga becomes the extreme popularity and is continuing to grow and grow and grow, same thing with the extreme popularity of anime, which is also starting to grow immensely, we're going to see more and more cartoons ditch Western art styles in favor of anime art styles as well. For example, they're bringing back Avatar, not the movie about the blue people, the cartoon. Okay. For example, Western game companies are even making indie games inspired by anime as well. While Doki Doki Wizard Club became a really popular game around 2017 and 2018, it is still popular to this day among weeaboos. But not just weeaboos, even normal people play Doki Doki Wizard Club. Mostly because the game was free, but the game was so popular that it got re-released and got a physical version as well. And then we have Western anime. Yep, what I mean by Western style animation style. Okay. As well. Yes. Or always known as American anime, or always known as anime influenced animation, which I think is going to become more and more popular as time goes on, and in favor of course, kiddie cartoons. Well, all you have to do is look at Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is coming back around 2025. Okay, which it is the most well-known show that is inspired by anime as well. Okay, and I think we're going to see more and more comic book artists and of course, newer comic book artists and newer comic book writers make more anime-inspired ideas and characters as well. Okay, the whole Japanese art style is becoming more and more bigger in America. You even have a lot of people that are drawing anime-inspired characters. You even have a whole trend where people are taking pictures of things and turning them into anime characters. Okay, the Japanization of America is only going to continue over the next couple of decades as well. This Japanization of America is only going to continue to go more and more. Even as Japan's birth rate declines and Japan decays into an aging society, anime and the art style of anime is forever. Anime will always be around. And I think as Japan continues to outsource anime to other countries because of a lack of people to work on anime, they're going to probably, outsource it to Southeast Asia, but probably Western countries as well. Especially aspiring creators that want to make anime-influenced comic books. Realizing that, hey, as comic books continue to die, let's make our own comic books that are inspired by manga. And I think that's going to be the death of American comic books as well. Well, sorry, but American comic books still had a good one. I think eventually One Piece will outsell, of course, Superman. Which Superman is considered the most iconic character in history. The fact that Superman will probably be outsold by One Piece in the future. Will further cement the whole idea that anime is going to basically replace it. Japan, the Japanization of America, will continue on. As anime and anime art styles, and Nintendo still influences generations of people to make their own games like Nintendo games. And yeah, now let's get to Nintendo and indie games. Indie games have become way more popular over the past decades. Indie games have a varying amount of genres, of course. But the most successful indie games, and some of the more popular ones, like Cuphead, are influenced by Nintendo. Of course, Cuphead is influenced by old cartoons. But I bet the whole idea why the game like Cuphead exists is Nintendo. The game developers were probably influenced that they want to make a unique art style of games, and Cuphead is one of the most popular games of all time. In terms of indie games, obviously. Not as popular as Minecraft, but it's one of the most popular and one of the most beloved indie games of all time. A lot of indie games are inspired by Nintendo. Indie platformers are inspired by Nintendo. And other types of games like games similar to Zelda, the old Zelda games, and similar to Metroid and older Nintendo games are coming out. You have indie games inspired by F-Zero, indie games inspired by Paper Mario, indie games inspired by Nintendo games, like it had in time. And these games are only becoming more and more popular as time goes on. Because Nintendo still makes games, but of course people want to find alternatives to just playing the next Mario game. So of course, indie developers out there basically making games that are similar to what Nintendo has made. Bug Fables is a really popular game that is similar to Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door as well. And I think as AAA gaming continues to die, indie games will continue to grow and become more popular. Yeah, as well. Well, and more indie games inspired by Nintendo games as well will continue to become bigger and bigger and bigger as well. Indie games inspired by Nintendo's own games will become bigger and bigger as well and develop fan bases of their own. And Nintendo has so much influence over the gaming industry, it's wild. And Japan really has the most influence over the gaming industry than Western companies than any others. Western, for example, in movies, yeah, animated movies currently, yeah, anime is not as popular as, of course, animated as 3D animated movies. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a return to hands-on animation in the coming decades that is based off instead of traditional Western animation, of course, is based off Japanese animation as well. And yeah, Japan, which was once America's worst enemy, during World War II, is now basically turning America into Japan. Okay, as well. And we have this Japanification, which is basically the Japanese culture dominates and assimilates to other cultures as well. And I think Japan now realizes that they don't need to conquer any other countries. They can just use anime and manga to basically Japanize America. Japanese culture is going to probably become going to be one of the most influential cultures in America for decades. Probably the second most influential culture, or even the most influential culture in America. In terms of food, yes, Japan is still beat by European cuisine, and heck, even Chinese food. But in terms of entertainment, Japanization of America is going to become more and more prevalent in the coming decades. And there was no need for Japan to conquer America. There was no need for Japanese troops to come down World War II style to bomb Pearl Harbor again. All they need to do is just make more anime, and of course, weeaboos will continue to talk about it. Japanization is basically the new reality for modern entertainment, and it's the future of modern entertainment as well. More and more people like Japanese-inspired movies. For example, Alita Battle Angel was a surprise hit at the box office because it was inspired by a Japanese anime. Actually, it was a Japanese manga because there was a small anime with like one episode that was 40 minutes long. But that movie still has a cult following to this day as well. Okay, but the Japanization of America, basically the massive influence of Japan. Japan is going to become one of the most influential cultures in the future. Kind of like how the Greeks were. Okay, the Greeks are one of the most influential cultures in history. Greeks influenced Italian culture, which influenced other culture, which basically influenced Roman culture, which influenced the modern day Western, which basically created the foundations for modern Western day culture. And yes, I could talk about Korea, which could have its own separate video all to itself. But Korea is still nowhere near as influential as Japan in anime and manga. The fact that Japan has basically defeated America in terms of animation and comic books as well. And Korea, you can basically say now, Korea may soon be beating America in terms of music, as American quality in music declines as well. Same thing with dramas as well. There's a whole entire thing dedicated to K-dramas. The only country that really isn't really doing this is China. And that's mostly due to their CCP's incompetence. And there's a whole entire video dedicated to that. So as Japan struggles with its own issues, Japanese culture and Japanese ideas and Japanese storytelling is going to become more and more popular, especially as Gen Z and Gen Alpha and future generations grow up with anime, grow up with Japanese culture. And it's not just the United States as well. Latin America is becoming more and more inspired by Japan as well. For example, Dragon Ball Z is one of the most popular shows of all time in Mexico. Okay, anime is extremely popular, not just in America, but also in Latin America, Canada, and of course Europe. The Japanization of the Western world and Latin America is only going to continue as newer generations are exposed to Japanese and Japanese culture. Yes, there will still be Japanese will probably not food will not be, except for sushi, will not be as popular as Chinese food in terms of takeout. But Japanese anime, manga, and games as well as well. So yeah, Japan can go to sleep knowing that the video games, manga, and anime are basically influencing the whole world. The entire process of Japanese culture dominates and assimilates and influences other cultures is still around to this day. It's still around to this day. And it is basically now through influences to other cultures. And that is the modern day Japanization of America and the Western world, and of course Latin America. It can even throw Southeast Asia and South Asia in there as well. Well. And yes, we can talk about other cultures like Korea, India, and China as well. But no culture it will be ever as dominant as Japanese culture onto the Western world. Goodbye.